With the upcoming release of Linkin Park's Meteora20, their 20th anniversary edition of Meteora, I thought it would be fun to look back at the album's conception and release back in 2003, as well as discuss its tracklist and talk about their new song Lost. Please keep in mind that this video will not be covering the entire process of Meteora's production and will only be summarizing it. With that in mind, let's travel back 20 years in time. The early 2000s were a revolutionary time. Blockbuster was the pinnacle of DVD rentals. Burning CDs was a common practice. Amazon was trying to find its footing. Smartphones didn't exist. Social media wasn't around to warp perceptions and divide people. ZooPal still existed. It was also at this time that Linkin Park became a household name after their explosively successful release of their debut album, Hybrid Theory. The band had spent multiple years creating the album and touring for it, but there was a feeling among the band and record label that it was time to begin working on their next album. Meteora was created in a span of 18 months, beginning with early writing sessions in summer 2001 and final mixing being completed in late 2002. Linkin Park began writing and recording samples for Meteora while they were still touring for Hybrid Theory. The sweeping intro for Somewhere I Belong was actually written and edited on their tour bus during this time. Between late 2001 to mid-2002, the band continued touring and also created and released their first remix album, Reanimation. Pre-production officially began in April 2002. The band began making samples out of Mike's home studio. They created about 80 rough songs for Meteora, which they then refined and shortened to 30 to 40 songs before further streamlining to less than 20. The band was unfazed by outside pressure but did put pressure on themselves to make an album as good as, if not better, than Hybrid Theory. Pre-production lasted a couple months before the band started recording in late summer. Meteora was recorded at NRG Studios in North Hollywood, where they also recorded Hybrid Theory. Similarly, they decided to work with Don Gilmore again to produce the album due to his familiarity with the band and their style. Don was tough on the band and would often make them redo or even scrap elements if he felt they didn't live up to a high standard, but this was because he wanted to push the band to make their best music they could. He said, "For me, working as a producer, working with artists like Linkin Park that really want their music to be as good as it can be, will rip a song to shreds and then build it back up and then rip it down again if that's what it takes." The band tracked each part individually during the months-long recording process, starting with Rob's drums, then Brad's guitar, then Phoenix's bass, then Joe's scratches, and concluded with Mike and Chester's vocals. Thanks to technological advances that occurred around this time, the recording process was easier than it was for Hybrid Theory. In August 2002, the band had a group art day to artistically depict the album's work in progress. They set up 4 large blanket panels inside of an abandoned warehouse near Los Angeles, which would be used to create a cohesive art mural. Alongside their art director, Frank Maddox, the band collaborated with Amsterdam-based street artist Boris Tellegen, better known as Delta. They had seen his work in magazines while touring and were impressed by it. Delta's cubic designs were the main element that tied the entire mural together, and the band, alongside Frank and Delta, painted the rest of it with their own images. The band wanted Meteora's art to reflect the album-making process visually and symbolically, so they would frequently draw over other images on the panels. Linkin Park felt satisfied that the art day reflected the underlying tone of the album, with Brad even referring to this day as Meteora Day. Chester discussed how that painting process accurately reflected the album-making process. "We wanted people to kind of see how you can take something that doesn't really mean anything, like 4 giant pieces of white wall basically, and you can turn it into something that is a complete thought. And you can have multiple people working on it to complete one visual piece of art. And it kind of takes a lot of time and a lot of patience and a little bit of vision, but really, nobody walks in premeditated with the idea of what it's going to look like at the end, and when you see it finally in its final product, you kind of look at it and it reveals itself." Throughout October 2002, Rob, Brad, Phoenix, and Joe's parts were tracked. The band had finalized 15 songs for the album by this point. At the end of the month, the band had a press photo shoot at the abandoned Ambassador Hotel near Los Angeles. They continued tracking and writing lyrics through November as the album's December 2002 deadline rapidly approached. They traveled to New York City in early December, where they spent multiple weeks mixing the album with the help of renowned mixer Andy Wallace, who also helped mix Hybrid Theory. They were also still recording vocals, but Chester got sick at this time, so the band had to perform a typically frowned-upon process and have Chester finish his vocals while sick and while they were simultaneously mixing the album for completion. Mike said this was the most stressful part of Meteora's production, as the album would have had to have been delayed about 6 months, or the remaining unfinished songs would have had to have been scrapped from the album if they hadn't done this. Interestingly, the chorus for Somewhere I Belong was completed at this time, nearly 18 months after the intro was first created. Linkin Park chose to name the album Meteora after being blown away by pictures of the Meteora rock formation in Greece, which has a monastery built atop it. They felt the word Meteora sounded epic, dramatic, otherworldly, and having great energy, which they wanted to symbolically represent through the album itself. On February 24, 2003, 1 month before the album's release, the band released Somewhere I Belong as Meteora's first single. Overall, Linkin Park felt accomplished in creating Meteora, with Brad believing that they gave it their best during production and that this is reflected on the final product. Meteora was released on March 25, 2003 through Warner Bros. Records. It received generally positive reviews from most critics. They were complimentary of its production quality but felt that it sounded too similar to Hybrid Theory. In just its first week, the album sold over 840,000 copies in all of North America alone and debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200. Meteora and many of its songs were nominated for multiple awards. Currently, the album has sold over 16 million copies worldwide. It is one of the top 10 best-selling albums of the 21st century, is certified 7 times platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America, and was ranked number 36 on Billboard's top 200 albums of the 2000s. The band promoted the album with their Meteora World Tour as well as multiple supporting tours. They also released 4 more singles for the album over the course of 16 months: Faint, Numb, From the Inside, and Breaking the Habit. All of the album singles became staple songs Linkin Park would perform live, even during their most recent album tours. Meteora's production was chronicled in a series of mini-documentaries produced by the band in Warner Bros. Records, such as The Making of Meteora, LPTV Season 1, and The Art of Meteora. They remixed some of the album with Jay-Z for an EP they released in 2004 called Collision Course. They've also released many early demos for the LP underground community over the years. Meteora reflects the band's genreless attitude as it features elements of nu metal, alternative rock, and rap metal alongside sprinkles of electronica and hip-hop. While the band largely continued the nu metal style of Hybrid Theory, they also used several new, more experimental elements. Breaking the Habit and Faint both feature prominent string sections, and Nobody's Listening is largely driven by a shakuhachi, which is a Japanese flute. Brad worked hard to create new guitar riffs for the album. Rob drummed for 8 to 10 hours a day for multiple weeks to find the best beats, and Joe experimented with new techniques and sounds with his turntables, just to name a few of the ways the band worked to make the album stand out. Mike said that the band pushed each other to find new ways to be creative for the album. We wanted each sample that was in each song to be something that might perk your ear, something that you might not have ever heard before. The album's lyrics heavily relate to depressing emotions and self-reflection. Mike liked to write songs about real emotions and everyday experiences, and he and Chester would often talk about life and their problems, then write songs from those conversations. Chester said in an interview that their lyrics reflect the emotions behind a situation rather than the situation itself, as it's a way to confront problems from their past that is helpful for fans to relate to. He continued, "Mike and I are 2 different people, so we can't sing about the same things, but we both know about frustration and anger and loneliness and love and happiness, and we can relate on that level." The band made Meteora's tracklist to be a skip-free experience for listeners. Most of the tracks seamlessly transition into one another from the album's beginning to conclusion. Chester told LPU that the concept of blending songs originated with Reanimation and that the band liked it so much they wanted to do it for Meteora. 15 tracks were recorded and mixed for the album, but only 12, excluding Forward, were included. Rob explained that the band wanted Meteora to be a skipless experience, so they picked the songs they felt would best provide an experience that would prevent people from daydreaming while listening to it. This is my personal ranking of Meteora based on how much I enjoy each song, how their vocals and or instrumentals sound to me, and how much I can relate myself to them or get lost in them. I'm sure there will be people who may not agree with how I view the album, so please feel free to share your personal rankings of the album in the comments section. I am overall very impressed with Meteora. The instrumentals are charming, creative, engaging, and just genuinely sound good. The vocals are wonderfully fantastic as well, and most of the lyrics are enchanting, honest, and relatable. I am blown away by and proud of each band member for their efforts to create this album and the final results they mastered. This is a timeless album that will hopefully be enjoyed for at least another 20 years. In 2020, Linkin Park celebrated Hybrid Theory's 20th anniversary with a series of special editions to the delight of most fans. With Meteora celebrating its own 20th anniversary this year, it was inevitably anticipated that it would get the same treatment. Meteora20 was announced at the beginning of February 2023 to astounding fanfare and will be released on April 7th, 2023. Alongside re-releasing the original album, the set will include previously unseen behind-the-scenes footage and live performances, as well as unreleased Meteora-era demos. In addition, the band dropped a bombshell by releasing a brand new song featuring unheard Chester vocals. Lost was recorded and mixed during Meteora's production, but was scrapped at the last minute. Lost is the first brand new Linkin Park song with vocals since their latest album One More Light released in May 2017. It was originally recorded during Meteora's production, but was scrapped from the album. A demo version of the song is briefly featured in various behind-the-scenes clips from the album's production, but has never been officially released. It had become infamous in the Linkin Park community as a result, so its official release was an unexpected yet delightful surprise. The song was originally a finalist to be included on Meteora. According to Mike, it was scrapped because the band believed it was too similar to Numb. It was the last song scrapped from the album. Many early demos recorded during Meteora's production have been released over the years, but none of them featured any vocals or even instrumentals similar to Lost. Phoenix said that they intended to release it alongside the other unreleased Meteora songs sooner, but they simply forgot about it. He said, "I remember thinking, even if we don't put them on the album, there's always going to be spots where it's going to be awesome to use them. And then I think we just pressed forward and it never circled back to that." The band stumbled upon Lost while searching for material for Meteora20. Mike said about the song, "It was finished, and we decided at the time not to include it. You've got to draw the line somewhere." He continued, "We realized that tonally it was the same kind of emotion and energy as Numb, and Numb was arguably a better song. We didn't know what we were going to do with it, so we just shelved it and forgot about it." Mike had a beautiful quote about uncovering Lost. "Finding this track was like finding a favorite photo you had forgotten you'd taken, like it was waiting for the right moment to reveal itself." He was excited for the fans to hear this song. Brad was very complimentary of the song and said it features one of Chester's best vocal performances. Mike recalled the song's inspiration to meaning as looking back on memories and getting immersed in the nostalgia and good or bad feelings associated with them. In various behind-the-scenes clips from the Meteora era, there is a very short clip of Chester singing over a demo instrumental. The lyrics he sings are thoughts that take away my pride, trapped in places deep inside. There is another brief and low-quality clip that showcases the song's lyric sheet. This track was obviously left off the album and has never been released or acknowledged in any fashion, driving fans to speculate about its existence. For 20 years, fans unofficially called this unknown song "Thoughts That Take Away My Pride" for obvious reasons. Mike was asked about the lyric during a Twitch livestream in April 2021, but he seemed unfamiliar with it. However, during an hour-long Discord Q&A that Mike, Joe, and Dave hosted on February 11, 2023, Mike was able to confirm that "Thoughts That Take Away My Pride" had been an early bridge lyric for Lost that they scrapped because they felt it was weaker compared to what they ended up with, which I agree with. Teaser clips of the song were posted across social media beginning on February 5th. Lost was officially released on February 10, 2023, alongside a music video. The video is visually stylized to honor the band's AMV infamy, which began around the time of Meteora's release, by incorporating AI into the anime-inspired artwork to make moving 2D images based on old footage of the band. It was produced and animated by People Pleaser, also known as Emily, and Mashe Kuchiyara's Web3 studio, Shibuya, using Kyber AI. Many people were critical of the video's heavy AI use, much to Mike's surprise, so he tweeted out a response to this to better explain the process behind the video's creation. "Personally, I'm not into this newfound AI movement craze that has taken over, but I don't think the band did any wrongdoing and certainly wouldn't have intentionally done so. Outside of this, the video accumulated millions of views rapidly upon its release and went as high as number 2 on YouTube Music's trending videos. When I first listened to Lost, I thought it was good but didn't think much about it. However, I was quickly swept by its vulnerable enchantment and now love it dearly. I love how this entire track sounds down to every minor detail. This is another set of lyrics I can relate heavily to, which enhances my listening experience. Hearing these Chester vocals makes my heart happy and heavy at the same time. The pain in his voice during his soft verses echoes to me, and his screaming verses feel justified and earned. This is a very vulnerable and honest Linkin Park song, and I absolutely love it." Mike talked about the difference between putting together Meteora20 and Hybrid Theory 20. The band was still processing Chester's passing while putting together the latter, whereas the tone for the former felt more celebratory. In a separate interview with Nicole Alvarez from KROQ, he was asked about expectations fans have about the band. He answered that while he typically tried to manage those expectations in recent years, he feels that with the release of Meteora20, all options are on the table except for the band touring. While he didn't outright say whether or not the band would begin making new music together in the near future, it cannot be understated that Linkin Park is still reeling from the untimely loss of Chester. Until the band decides to officially break their hiatus, we should appreciate that they are actively honoring and celebrating their legacy and continue enjoying everything that they've given us over the years. If you haven't already, you should go listen to Lost and their other new song, Fighting Myself, and pre-order Meteora20 before it releases on April 7th. I hope you found this video informative and entertaining in some way. The story of Meteora's production is very fascinating and inspiring, and there's so much more to it that I didn't discuss. I will provide multiple sources from the band that entails the process, as well as some of the many interviews they have given regarding the album over the years for anyone interested. I've been working on this video ever since Meteora20 was announced, and it was tough to put together. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it, and share your thoughts and opinions in the comments section. I hope to make more videos on a variety of topics such as books, movies, pop culture, shows, and video games, so please stay tuned for future videos. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you stay awesome.